Popular films often create characters who are remembered as lovable, misunderstood, or flawed, but ultimately sympathetic. However, upon closer inspection, certain iconic characters exhibit behavior that challenge these perceptions. You might not call all of these characters villains, per se, and some are way worse than others, but none of them should be looked upon fondly. This is Marks on Media, and today we're talking about some of the real movie villains that just don't get enough hate. Now, let's get into it.
Marks on Media.
Like I mentioned at the top, the characters I've selected here for this list aren't exactly villains. Some of them are supposed to be heroes or people we root for, some are annoying side characters, but I think that all of them deserve more scrutiny and negativity for their actions. These aren't ranked in any particular order, by the way, but here we go. These first two are the subject of many online hate posts and meme threads. Jenny from Forrest Gump. Jenny Curran is often viewed as a tragic counterpart to Forrest Gump's earnest innocence. Her life is undoubtedly shaped by a traumatic childhood, and she wrestles with personal demons throughout the film. However, her treatment of Forrest is manipulative and self-serving at times. Jenny oscillates between rejecting Forrest and reappearing when it suits her needs, often exploiting his unconditional love for her. Her lack of transparency regarding their son, coupled with her decision to only settle down with Forrest after her health deteriorates, raises questions about her motivations. While she deserves empathy for her struggles, her choices significantly impact Forrest, who remains an innocent bystander in her turbulent life. It's only when she basically needs a caretaker in her final year of life that she finally agrees to marry Forrest and finally be with him. Grandpa Joe from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Grandpa Joe is often seen as a heartwarming figure who supports young Charlie Bucket's dream of visiting Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. However, his behavior deserves a lot of scrutiny. Yes, this has been a thing floating around online for years, but I'm monetizing it in this video. Throughout the beginning of the film, Grandpa Joe is bedridden and seemingly incapable of contributing to the family's dire financial situation, yet upon hearing about Charlie's golden ticket, he miraculously regains his mobility and joins the boy in his adventures. This inconsistency raises questions about his motivations and work ethic. Additionally, Grandpa Joe encourages Charlie to violate Wonka's rules by sampling fizzy lifting drinks, jeopardizing their chances of earning the factory. His irresponsible behavior contrasts starkly from the moral lessons the story aims to impart. If not for Charlie, he may end up being like one of the other little bratty kids in Willy Wonka's House of Horrors.
You get nothing! You lose! Good day, sir!
This next one has been going viral recently due to the newfound hate for her character, Rose DeWitt Bukater from Titanic. Rose DeWitt Bukater is celebrated as a symbol of defiance and liberation against societal norms. However, her actions throughout Titanic reveal a pattern of recklessness and self-centeredness. Rose's choice to engage in a passionate affair with Jack while betrothed to another man might symbolize her desire for freedom, but it also disrespects the commitments and expectations of those around her. Screw Cal, though. He was a monster, I'll admit that. I have no sympathy for his feelings. Moreover, though, her decision to discard the invaluable Heart of the Ocean necklace into the sea after years of hiding its existence can be interpreted as wasteful and inconsiderate of her descendants, who might have benefited from the artifact's historical and monetary value. While Rose's spirit is inspiring, her actions often prioritize her desires over the well-being of others. On top of that, she's sitting there after 84 years, still pining over a dude that she had a week-long fling with. Meanwhile, she's been married to a man who seemingly loved and cared for her for decades, and they raised children together. That's unbelievable and villainous behavior. Uncle Frank from Home Alone 1 and 2. If I lost you with the last one, I'm definitely going to pull you back in with this one. Everyone hates Uncle Frank. Uncle Frank is an undeniably unpleasant character in both Home Alone films, embodying pettiness, greed, and cruelty. In the first film, he's dismissive and outright nasty to Kevin McAllister, contributing to the boys' sense of isolation. He refuses to pay for the family's pizza, despite clearly benefiting from their wealth. Hell, he's even getting a free vacation out of them for him and his entire family. He even escalates his nastiness by calling Kevin a little jerk in front of the family, even after Kevin got treated like crap by everyone. Plus, when the parents are worried sick in Paris after leaving Kevin at home, Frank is passing out shrimp cocktail without a care in the world. In the second film, Uncle Frank continues to belittle Kevin, even laughing at Buzz humiliating him on stage during a Christmas musical. Uncle Frank's lack of compassion and self-serving attitude make him a thoroughly negative presence in the McAllister household, with no redeeming qualities to balance out his behavior. The fact that Peter and Kate keep paying his way to elaborate vacations is insane to me. Sticking with the Christmas theme, Nora Crank from Christmas with the Cranks. Nora Crank is seemingly the more sympathetic half of the Crank couple who decides to skip Christmas in favor of a tropical cruise. However, Nora exhibits traits of materialism and shallow behavior that undermine her likability. While Luther Crank's Scrooge-like determination to avoid Christmas traditions is played for comedy, Nora's flip-flopping and eventual peer-pressured embrace of the holiday season make her seem more concerned with appearances than principles. Her treatment of her husband's preferences and her excessive need to please her neighbors reflects an inability to stand firm in her decisions, making her a character who enables toxic behavior. On top of that, she was gung-ho on skipping Christmas after Luther paid lots and lots of money on tickets for a tropical cruise. And what does she do as soon as her daughter wants to come home? She throws everything away, is ready to waste thousands of dollars, and pressures her husband into going right along with it. Yes, the townsfolk are the real villains of this story for only being nice to the Cranks once they gave in to their demands, but Nora enabled it. Just tell your daughter no. How hard is that? Ferris Bueller from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Ferris Bueller is often celebrated as a charismatic, rebellious teen who outsmarts authority figures and makes the most of life. However, his behavior reveals a pattern of selfishness and manipulation. Throughout the film, Ferris exploits his best friend Cameron, pressuring him into actions that worsen Cameron's anxiety and damage his already strained relationship with his father. Pressuring him into driving around his dad's prized convertible all day was a real douche move. Ferris's Day Off revolves entirely around his own desires with little regards of the consequences faced by others. His lies and schemes, while entertaining, often undermine his supposed charm and expose a lack of consideration for those around him. I know we're all supposed to hate his sister Jeannie because she's just a wet blanket that's going to ruin all of Ferris's fun. But when you think about it, Jeannie was busting her butt while Ferris was skating by in life, and she was just trying to cut him off at the pass. It didn't work out too well for her, but it could have been worse. Either way, Ferris is kind of a selfish prick. Howl from Howl's Moving Castle. This one's slightly more obscure. Howl, the titular character from Howl's Moving Castle, is often romanticized as a charming and mysterious wizard, but his actions reveal an immature, self-centered, and irresponsible nature. Throughout the story, Howl avoids taking responsibility for his own problems, including his deal with Calcifer, and shirks his duties to help others, despite possessing immense magical power. His initial refusal to get involved in the war, while framed as pacifism, can also be seen as apathy, as he chooses to prioritize his own comfort and freedom over intervening in a conflict that harms countless people. Additionally, Howl's vanity and tendency to manipulate others, including Sophie, expose a selfish streak that undercuts his supposed heroism. While he grows throughout the film, much of the burden of emotional labor falls on Sophie, making his redemption feel less earned and more the result of her patience and efforts. Howl's flaws, while humanizing, often tilt more towards irresponsibility and selfishness than the romantic hero he's often perceived to be. Albus Dumbledore from Harry Potter. Hear me out. Albus Dumbledore is often hailed as a wise and benevolent mentor to Harry Potter. However, his manipulation of those around him, particularly Harry, raised serious ethical concerns. Dumbledore's decision to withhold critical information from Harry, such as the prophecy in his ultimate role in Voldemort's downfall, places an enormous burden on a young boy without his informed consent. Furthermore, Dumbledore's use of Snape and other individuals as pawns in his long-term strategy shows a utilitarian streak that sacrifices individuals for a greater good. While his goals are noble, his methods often verge on cold calculations, making him a morally ambiguous figure. There's also the matter of leaving Harry to be raised by his nasty aunt and Uncle Dursley, who he surely had discovered after a while were incredibly abusive to Harry. Does the wizarding world not have CPS? At least do a wellness check, for God's sake. The boy lived under the stairs and wore dirty clothes. And finally, we end with a character from the same stories. Severus Snape from Harry Potter. Severus Snape is a complex character often redeemed in the eyes of fans due to his tragic backstory and ultimate sacrifice. However, his behavior throughout the series makes him far from a hero. Snape's relentless bullying of students, particularly Neville Longbottom and Harry himself, is inexcusable, regardless of his internal struggles. So he hated Harry's dad. That means he gets to make Harry pay for the sins of his father? And we've already established what Harry's home life was like. Snape's obsession with Lily Potter leads him to acts of protection over Harry, but this obsession is rooted in selfishness rather than altruism. This is beside the fact that he loved Lily when they were young. Lily moved on when they were teenagers, got married, and had a child. Severus Snape still pined over her for decades, like a jilted emo boy. It's weird. Snape's loyalties are often ambiguous, and while he ultimately aids the fight against Voldemort, his cruelty to others somewhat overshadows his redemption arc. Characters like the ones on this list remain memorable for their roles in iconic films, but their actions deserve more closer scrutiny. By examining their behaviors and motivations, we can challenge the simplistic narratives that cast them in a sympathetic light and recognize the harm or selfishness in their choices. These characters remind us that even in fiction, morality is rarely black and white, and accountability is key to understanding complex personalities. Comment with your thoughts on all of this. Do you agree with my list? Why or why not? And did I miss anyone who you would have added? Let me know down in the comment section. Also, please share this video around to everyone you know, and don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the little bell to stay notified every time I post brand new content. This has been Marks on Media, and we'll see you next time.